Hey, what is up guys, this is Griefdrums, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at Barricades. Now it sounds pretty daft. Most of you are probably thinking, well hang on a minute, I'm already a platinum or a diamond, I know everything there is to know about Barricades, and yeah, you probably do, but just in case, here's some extra tips. Now you may or may not know that there are a few different types of barricades. Obviously you've got single doors, double doors, single windows, double windows, but you also get the barricades which extend a lot further down than the window, and the barricades that just cover the window. The first thing we're going to look at today is when you're trying to jump out of windows or jump in through windows. A perfect example of when you would do this is on the L windows of a canal here. This left hand window, as soon as someone is peeking it, a lot of people like to try and jump out of the hallway window and push round onto them. The issue with doing this is that if you go to try and rip down the barricade, as soon as you press that button to do so, you hear that audio cue like this. As the attacker, that allows you the opportunity to turn around and line up the person as they come around the corner. There are a couple of other options for defenders. You can pre-break the window before the game. Now what this means is at the very bottom of the window, you can punch it twice. Now most barricades actually break with 3 hits. So by doing 2 hits beforehand at the very bottom of the window, no one can see in, but you immediately get this vault symbol. So later on in the game, you can go jumping out of that window instantly. You do have to be careful when doing this, because if you do it during the round, they will hear you punch it twice and then see you jump out, so it's counterproductive to do. Do this during your setup phase, have a think of where the attackers are going to come from, and then punch out the barricades that you think you might want to use later in the game. A perfect example of this would be on Oregon. By punching out the window on the tower on the bottom floor, that's going to allow you an escape route if you do go jumping out of a window. Now in this particular instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight, if someone was pushing this window, I could jump out of the window to the right hand side, land the shots on them, and bail back inside really quickly, just due to a bit of prior planning. Now the other option with barricades is if you don't have one of those kind of windows where it extends down further and you can't do a setup like this, there is a way you can actually get through them by punching once and then vaulting. Instead of having to punch it 3 times to knock the barricade down, there is a particular slat on the door or window that you can hit with the butt of your gun and instantly get a vault. This is perfect for surprising enemies. I mean, this is really, really handy. I use this quite often, but it's only best doing once you know where the enemies are in a room. You don't want to go blindly jumping into a room if 4 people are stood there on the other side of the door looking at you. Now, I'm not going to lie, this does take a bit of practice to get used to doing and to be able to nail it first time every time. But once you've practiced it a few times and used it during games, it will just become second nature. The other cool thing to do with barricades is actually shoot a few holes in it. Thanks to the caliber-based destruction, by taking out a pistol and putting a scatter of holes, 5, 6, maybe 7 shots into it at random places, as soon as someone rappels up onto that window, you can see exactly where they are by the daylight being blocked. Obviously, if you use a higher caliber gun, you will get bigger holes in the window, but I find it's a lot better to do this with a pistol, purely because of the fact that it's harder for them to see what is going on. The holes are less noticeable, they look like they could have just been randomly sprayed when you were shooting for a drone. As soon as they hover over that window, you can instantly kill them, and they had no idea where it was coming from. The final tip I'm going to give for this video is the use of barricades and windows for sound propagation. Now, obviously, you wouldn't board these windows up. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you're defending a hostage in this room, you're going to push out and try and hold the teller's bit in front, that holding waiting area. But for the purpose of this, I've barricaded all of these windows up just so you can listen to the sound of what is happening. Now Bass was helping me out with this, and you can hear that he was moving around from the right to the left hand side-ish, but it was fairly muffled. However, by shooting out the very top of the window, it allows the sound to propagate more naturally in this map. Now, as soon as this barricade breaks at the top, you can automatically hear the music from the room just in front so much clearer. This means you're going to hear people crawling, sneaking, doing anything like that, and is really useful if used on exterior windows. This can stop the flanks so many times, and can allow you the advantage to know exactly where the enemy is moving and how they are moving. You can hear if they're standing and walking. You can hear if they're crouched or crawling. It's genuinely amazing, so don't neglect its use. The awesome thing about this is they can't really do anything through a tiny little gap at the top of a door. Grenades aren't going to go through there. They can't look through it. This is a perfect way to get the advantage on the enemy, and it's something that is massively underused. Now, I'm not suggesting board up every single door to try and hear what's going on. I wouldn't suggest that at all, as you're just going to block your own flanking routes and your own movement in the objective. But what you can do is by doing this in certain areas, you can hear if they're coming from the other end of the map. Or as I mentioned, if they're on the balcony outside house near that grated window and you're in the workshop, you can hear them coming from there. So make sure to give it a go. Hopefully some of these tips help. Hopefully they're not teaching you to suck eggs. I mean, some of these I've been using for quite a while, but I still don't see them being used very often by other people. So hopefully they'll help someone out there. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe for all things Rainbow Six. Until next time, guys, stay reckless and relentless. So sad.